A blessed day to each and everyone. Welcome to another professional development for us teachers. My name is Sure April, and we'll start talking about educational planning and human resource development. At the end of this session, we shall be able to define the components and the alternative approaches of education planning, practice the applicability of the approaches to education planning, and we shall be able to integrate those values of good planning to our daily life. What is educational planning? This is the process of preparing a set of decisions for action in the future. That's why we have it for planning, because we are talking about the future. And this is in field of education, and it has the view of achieving goals by optimal means. There are components of educational planning. First, we have goals. Goals describe things that a person may want to achieve or attain, but in relative terms, they mean different things. This is the desired outcomes done by a person. We also have the objectives as the component. And if we're going to take a look, it's also the description of things that a person may want to achieve or attain, but in relative terms may mean different things. Same meaning for goals and objectives. What separate them are the time frame, the attributes they set for, and the effect inflicted. The word goals and objective are often confused with each other. They have the same meaning, but they differ when it comes to time frame, attributes, and the effect that they inflicted. We have vision and directions of educational planning, an articulation of the ideal state of education, taking into account concerns for effectiveness, equity, excellence, efficiency, and relevance in the light of the aspiration and development of students, as well as the benefits, welfare, and academic fulfillment of teachers, schools official, and society, and this will be towards the common good of all. Number three, time and priorities. This must be in response to the problems and challenges that have to be faced with great urgency, just like what's happening right now in this time of pandemic. Instead of having face to face classes, we are conducting the distance learning. Optimal condition in education plan. These are educational outcomes that are being maximized with the minimum educational inputs. It is an effective in response to the needs of its public and the clientele. Alternative approaches. First, we have the social demand approach. This aims to provide access to all who demand admission to school. It is also a basic education that is the right of every citizen. Until Filipino has had basic education, all budget increases for education should go to basic education as per the Congressional Commission on Education work in making education work. We have some alternative approaches. The manpower requirements approach. This is one of the alternative approaches. The demand is the specification of manpower requirements needed to accelerate economic and social development. These aggregated across either occupation or levels of education and field of specialization. It does entail an analysis of demand and supply of manpower. The supply of manpower may be coming from both formal and non-formal education system. We also have the rate of return approach, which is based on the assumption that education is an investment that comes from return. human resource development. This focus is to benefit from the fruits of economic development by developing human resources. All other sectors have to focus on the welfare and development of humanity. Applicability of the approaches of educational planning. When we talk about educational plans of the Philippines, they cannot be clearly categorized in any of the foregoing approaches to educational planning. However, it thus contains some elements of human development concern with a statement that it will aims to provide a broad general education that will assist each individual in the peculiar ecology of his own society. We have to attain his potential as a human being, to enhance the range and quality of individual and group participation in the basic functions of society, and acquire essential education foundation for his development into productive and versatile citizen. We have the human resource development that is both concept and process. So let's talk about concept. It uses the most valuable resources in an organization. So, for example, these are the people. For the process, it's the continuous flow of functions, which is called personal administration. Human resource development, once again, is both a concept and process, which became the development process. These are the integration of individual and organization. The entry, is the hiring stage, sourcing for the right candidate. Once they bid enter, we're going to have the socialization. This is the receiving of the candidate with probationary period, usually for 6 months. We have the mutual acceptance, which is the firming up of candidate, followed by empowering continuous growth. There are two types of view as far as teacher empowerment is concerned. We have the institutional view of the career, and we have the individual view of the career. When we talk about institutional view of the career, this is a career in which effectiveness in the profession is judged by self and or others as a measure of one's ability to climb various rungs of bureaucratic ladder of success. The individual view of career is intrinsically motivating and encouraging the teacher to seek personal growth to maximize the potential. McLaughlin and Yee suggested that individual effectiveness, satisfaction, and growth are cultivated by two factors: level of opportunity and the level of capacity, which has stimulation, which is being sought by collaboration, the challenge to master new skills and self-actualization, and the feedback for continuous improvement through constructive feedback. Our individual uniqueness has major implication for the work that principals must do on teachers in the area of human resource development. That includes the age of the teacher, the experiences, and the readiness. An adult learner, according to Malcolm Shepard, knows teachers learn best when they have opportunities to plan and design their own learning opportunities. There is a relevance to the learning experience. Learning is a problem-centered rather than content-centered. The past experience can be incorporated in experimental learning settings. The model of teacher development, we have the years of teaching and the themes and paces. 1 to 3 years, this is the proficient teachers, which is the career entry, survival, and discovery. 4 to 6 years, this is the stabilization process wherein we have the highly proficient teacher. 7 to 18 years, the experimentation, diversification, and the stock-taking interrogations. 19 to 31 years, this is the serenity and the conservatism. 31 to 40 years, that will be the disengagement, serene or bitter. This is the retirement years because of the number of service already. Thus, professional development should have a result-driven education wherein we have to increase efficiency and there should be a return of investment. First, there should be a constructivism wherein we have to move learners from passive learners to active ones and increase their collaboration during training sessions. System thinking, this is the key to systems thinking, is that the leaders are developing essential models of how they view their perspective. The positive reinforcement for teachers include the practice of positive reinforcement techniques. We have the pat up the back, award, incentives, and recognition. We should also align it with the high standards of performance that needs to be advertised and development of needs of the staff that must be accurately increased. Thus, the human resource development is a process of imparting sufficient knowledge, positive attitude, required skills in members of a staff in an organization. Building a human capital can ensure organizational success as long as it is done properly and measured well for its efficiency. When planning for a year, we have to plant a corn. When planning for a decade, plant trees. And when planning for life, train and educate people, according to a Chinese proverb. A country that aspires to be highly developed has to have a highly literate populations. That's all for my presentation for today. Thank you so much. These are all my references. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell button. See you again on our next presentation.